In this place, people create their own realities, no matter how unlikely. Where better to study this election, as politics in this country increasingly involves two tribes projecting quite separate versions of the truth. And Nevada, home of Las Vegas, has something else too, a finely balanced electoral map and a selection of contests that make it a key battleground. Leaving Las Vegas, off 60 miles to the west, to Nye County. So we're on our way to a place called Pahrump, which it's fair to say up to now was notable only for having legalized brothels, but has become the subject of intense controversy in the Nevada election race because of arguments between Democrats and Republicans about how the votes, the early votes, are being counted there, with all the echoes of the 2020 election row between supporters of Trump and Biden. Electorally, this could be a different state. 70% voted Trump here in 2020, and it's fair to say they haven't got over the result. Belief here in electoral skullduggery is widespread, and that's why there's been a series of court battles as local officials, Republicans, tried to set aside machine voting in favour of an entirely paper-based ballot. Does the demand arise from, in some sense, the aftershocks of the 2020 election? Is that what's playing in the mind of voters, do you think?
I believe that's the case. Yeah, I believe that's the case.
And do you yourself, because I think you did say you felt President Trump was the rightful victor in that election.
Well, as clerk, I'm responsible for being totally nonpartisan, by being totally independent, and keeping my opinions out of the process. So whatever I may feel as candidate in this office, I'm responsible for delivering a fair and transparent election process.
For Democrats, what's been going on in this corner of Nevada is profoundly dangerous. As is normal here, the fate of many different elected offices depends on Tuesday's vote, from US Senator to county sheriff. And what Democrats reckon is that Jim Marchant, who's running for Secretary of State, responsible for the vote across Nevada, has ulterior motives here.
He doesn't only want to suppress the votes of Democrats, it's also Republicans. He said, standing next to Donald Trump 2 weeks ago here in Nevada, that if he were elected Secretary of State, Donald Trump would be the president in 2024, without regard to the will of the voters in Nevada. That's scary.
Issues for me too. I know Congresswoman Dina Titus has been a champion for women's rights. She's been out there fighting to protect the women's right to choose for years.
Back in Las Vegas, more of the fear factor. Volunteers for Dina Titus hit the phones to get the Democratic base out. She's an incumbent congresswoman, and she knows her re-election is on a real knife edge.
When we vote, we win. Yay!
For her, the decision by the Supreme Court to limit abortion rights nationwide could still be decisive at the polls. The right to choose, abortion, must have had a sort of galvanizing effect on your campaign here.
No question about it. The Democrats know that that's an issue that resonates with women across party lines and across demographics, and it's really mobilized young voters, young women who kind of took it for granted because they didn't fight the fight that we fought, now realize they may lose something that's very important to them. And it's not abortion, it's the right to choose and make their own decisions. And we feel that that's just a slippery slope if they go after a right to choose. Next it'll be gay rights, right to vote, disability rights, so no telling where it can end up.
So what we've found, for example, when we went to film early voting on the outskirts of the city, is that arguments appealing to the base about abortion rights for Democrats and the cost of living for Republicans could be easily spotted when we asked people why they'd come to the polls.
I care about human rights a lot, and women's rights specifically.
Economics, fuel, our future, and I think it's important that we are here to take control of the state. I have daughters, so this election is huge for my daughters. It's huge for our future. I have kids growing up.
Inflation's terrible. Gas prices are up. Interest rates are up. Everything's falling apart right now. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you need to make your voice heard, and you need to take a stand and do what's right for the country. So that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, we need change. We need change.
The Hoover Dam is a reminder of past controversies, not least over its name. It also demonstrates the size of this state's electoral districts.
Nevada and Arizona, two of those four.
Colonel Mark Robertson is the Republican challenging Dina Titus for US Congress in a district that stretches all the way from Las Vegas's Strip to these rugged mountains 40 minutes drive to the southeast. In a place where so many rely on the car to cover those miles, Robertson's campaign focuses on cost of living concerns.
I've spent the last 22 months full-time talking to Nevadans. I've talked to thousands of Nevadans in their homes, at their place of work, in coffee shops, and the number one concern is the economy. It's the cost of gas and groceries. Nationwide, the inflation rate is about 8.5%. In Las Vegas, it's 16%.
In much of the US, the election is about a hyper-partisan contest, a competition to get your base out with the most emotive and powerful possible messages. But in a state like Nevada, where things are very close, we have seen, particularly in the last few weeks of this, more of an emergence of the type of messages that have been politically effective since the 1930s, in fact, and the Great Depression. Those are messages about the value of the dollar in people's pockets, attempts to win over the uncommitted.
We followed Mark Robertson back to the city.
So we're going to start here, we're going to do a red wave, all right? So start with them down and then bringing them up.
Where he brought supporters together as the Republican candidate for the Senate came by in his battle bus. He's the man whose election could indeed overturn Democratic control in the US Senate.
The economy is going dramatically in the wrong direction, and I'm worried it's going to keep going in the wrong direction. What's going on with the gas prices? I say, hold on, it's $3 in other swing states. It's $5.50 here.
And will midterm victory pave the way for the return of Trump? That's less clear. There was some praise for the man at this event, but the activists we spoke to would prefer someone else on the 2024 presidential ticket.
He's done his time, and I think that it'd be good to go ahead and have a fresh new face for the Republican Party. We appreciate his support, but I think that it'd be great to have someone else as well.
If he chooses to run, some people are saying, later this month he might announce it. Would you welcome another Trump term or not?
Actually, I'm kind of leaning more towards the no side, only because of his age. And truthfully, I'd really like to see Ron DeSantis.
And would Trump have been welcome here? The candidate for Congress felt not.
Yeah, I don't think that President Trump visiting my particular district would be helpful. My district is only 26% Republican. It's 36% Democrat, and it's nearly 40% independent.
So there are multiple campaigns actually taking place simultaneously here. You've got the Republican attempt to get their core vote, their base out, and you've got the Democrats doing the same. And then you've got a proportion of voters, a small proportion but vital in this state, of genuine undecideds, people who could go either way. And one of the cohorts that has been identified is the Latino or Hispanic vote in Nevada, and we're on our way now to see how that is being worked into the campaign.
Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go?
The Culinary Workers Union represents those behind the scenes of the Las Vegas tourist industry. A big proportion among the activists and membership are Hispanic.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, 226.
At this meeting, their leadership G'd them up for a last wave of campaigning, underlining that in this marginal state, small numbers can make all the difference.
In a midterm, we plan to knock on 1 million doors by election day. That means we will have knocked on over half of the Latino voter doors in the entire state, half of the black voter doors in the entire state, and over a third of the Asian American voters in the state. If we get to those doors, by Election Day, we think we win.
In this city, though, the Republicans have won over many Latinos with messages about patriotism and faith, as well as the cost of living.
Introduce myself, and do you guys plan to vote?
In this middle-class suburb, Cisco
Have a good one.
Aguilar
Thank you.
went to make his final pitch for the Democrats. But like so many emails, texts and other voter communications, the public have reached saturation point.
Every ad on TV is a political ad. Every mailer you're getting in the mail is just people have been bombarded, and I think they're starting to get tired.
Here, as in many parts of the country, Democratic canvassers have faced a tough battle given the cost of living concerns, and in their closing arguments focus on people's rights.
The price of gas will go down, but you can't get back those rights if these people take over and kind of destroy what's been the 50-year precedent.
As this campaign ebbs, polling suggests it'll end Democratic control of the House and endanger it in the Senate. This vote will decide not only then whether Joe Biden becomes a lame duck, but also set the scene for the next presidential battle.